Hi, my name is Samantha, and today I want to share something deeply personal. This is not an easy story. This is not about glamour or success. This is the story of the time when I lost myself. My mental health broke down completely, but it's also the story of how I slowly found my way back. This is my mental health journey, raw, honest, and real. It's strange how sometimes you don't even realize how heavy the burden is until you're crushed under it. For most of my life, I was the happy girl, always smiling, always helpful, always fine. At least that's what I told myself. But beneath the surface, I was struggling. Anxiety, self-doubt, perfectionism. I carried these quietly, thinking they were just part of life. I didn't know they were slowly consuming me. It started small. Sleepless nights, constant overthinking, an irrational fear of disappointing people. At work, I was always the one who said yes. Extra tasks? Sure. Helping others? Absolutely. Taking care of everything? Of course. I thought being busy meant being valuable. But I was burning out. On the outside, everything looked perfect. But inside, I was exhausted. Mentally, emotionally, physically. One day, it all became too much. I was in a meeting, pretending to focus, when suddenly, I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight. My hands were shaking. My vision blurred. It was a full-blown panic attack. I rushed to the restroom, locked myself in a stall, and broke down. I cried uncontrollably. For hours, it felt like. That was the moment I realized I was not okay. I had lost control. I had lost myself. After that day, nothing felt the same. Simple tasks became overwhelming. Getting out of bed felt impossible. Every thought was negative. I isolated myself. I avoided friends. I stopped doing things I loved. I was drowning in my own mind. Depression isn't just sadness, it's emptiness, it's numbness, it's losing interest in life itself. But I kept hiding it, because in my head, admitting this felt like failure. I was terrified of asking for help. What would people think? Would they see me as weak? Would they say I'm overreacting? These thoughts kept me silent, but the more I stayed silent, the worse it got. One night, after hours of crying alone, I realized I couldn't do this anymore. I needed help. Admitting that was the hardest, but bravest thing I did. I booked a therapy appointment. I remember sitting in the waiting room, heart pounding, wondering if I was making a mistake. But the moment I started talking to my therapist, it was like opening a floodgate. For the first time, I spoke about my fears, my pain, my exhaustion. There was no judgment, just understanding. Therapy didn't fix me overnight, but it gave me tools. It gave me clarity. It gave me hope. Recovery isn't linear. Some days were better. Some days were worse. But every small victory mattered. Getting out of bed on a hard day, going for a short walk, saying no to things I couldn't handle, journaling my feelings, meditating for even 5 minutes. These tiny steps were building blocks to finding myself again. For the first time, I prioritized my mental health over everything else, and that was life-changing. One of the hardest battles was with my inner critic. That voice in my head saying, "You're not good enough. You're a failure. You're weak." Through therapy and self-reflection, I learned to challenge that voice. I learned to replace self-criticism with self-compassion. It wasn't easy. It still isn't. But slowly, I started being kinder to myself. And that kindness became my strength. A huge part of my recovery was learning to set boundaries. Before, I said yes to everything, because I was afraid of disappointing people. But constantly pleasing others left me empty. I learned that saying no is not rude. It's necessary. I started setting boundaries at work, in friendships, even with family. And with every boundary, I reclaimed a part of myself. As my mind healed, I began reconnecting with things I had lost. I started painting again. I took long walks without my phone. I traveled solo to rediscover peace. I spent time in nature. These moments weren't grand, but they were healing. I realized that joy isn't found in constant productivity. It's found in simple, mindful moments. Through these small joys, I found pieces of myself I thought were gone forever. Another key lesson was understanding the power of support. I opened up to close friends. Some understood, some didn't. But the ones who stayed became my pillars. I realized it's okay to outgrow people who don't respect your healing journey. Surrounding myself with empathy and understanding was essential for my mental health. Another key lesson was understanding the power of support. I opened up to close friends. Some understood, some didn't. but the ones who stayed became my pillars. I realized it's okay to outgrow people who don't respect your healing journey. Surrounding myself with empathy and understanding was essential for my mental health. Today, I'm not cured. Mental health is an ongoing journey, but I am stronger, more self-aware, more compassionate towards myself. I no longer define my worth by how much I do. I define it by how much peace I feel. I've accepted that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. The important thing is to not give up. You are not alone. Your feelings are valid. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Healing takes time, and that's okay. Be kind to yourself. You don't have to have it all figured out. The fact that you're here, listening, trying, is already brave. Thank you for listening to my story. Sharing this wasn't easy, but I hope it helps someone feel less alone. Mental health struggles are real, but recovery is possible. One step at a time, one breath at a time. If you resonated with my story, feel free to share your journey in the comments. Let's support each other. Let's break the stigma. Let's normalize asking for help. You are worthy. You are enough. You are not broken. This was my story of losing myself and finding my way back. Thank you for being here.